Representative Steve Cohen is a Democrat of Tennessee, and he is going to basically call out Attorney General Eric Holder and ask why the Justice Department hasn't done shit to get weed out of being a Schedule I drug. Now, Schedule I is, of course, the worst categorization, and we all know it doesn't belong there, because basically what that means is it doesn't have medicinal value. Wrong. But it doesn't even have any potential medicinal value. Extra wrong. I mean, it's amazing how wrong it is. So he's going to go to work here and listen to the back and forth. It gets really interesting.
But you recently talked about changing marijuana from Schedule I and said you'll work with Congress, and Congress should take the lead. Let me suggest to you that it's my understanding under Title 21 that you have the authority to initiate a request to the Secretary of Health and Human Services to do a study to look into marijuana in Schedule I, and that you could then change it. In my humble opinion, and I think the majority of people in this country, there's no way that marijuana should be Schedule I because it's not in the same class as heroin and LSD as it is in the code, which breeds contempt for our laws. And there's certainly medical bases. Dr. Sanjay Gupta has shown this in his broadcasting, but people have voted it in 20 states for multiple sclerosis, for children with epilepsy and seizures, and so it has medical benefit. And to be Schedule I, it says it has no medical benefit. Well, that's just fallacious. And the fact that this is a high ability or likelihood of abuse, it's nothing like heroin. That's absurd. So I would like to ask you, why will you not act as the President suggested, that where Congress won't, and I predict Congress will not act in this area, because Congress is generally like tortoises, and until it's really clear, they're not going to put their head out there. But the administration has acted on immigration, acted in environmental policy, acting in wages and minimum wages, et cetera. Why won't the administration act with the pen and the phone to help people out with taking this out of Schedule I so it can be studied, because we're all in favor of research?
Well, I think that we actually have acted in a responsible way in how we've made the determination how we're going to use our limited resources, the policies that I've announced as part of the Smart on Crime initiative, the directions that I've given to people in the field, I think reflect a sensitivity to, again, the resource restraints that we have, the division between federal and local law enforcement responsibilities, and I think that we have acted appropriately.
In those areas you certainly have, but on Schedule I, all you have to do is to ask the Secretary to make a scientific and medical evaluation, and after that, then you can go further and make a determination on whether it should be Schedule I. Schedule I says you can't do any research on it. Why will you not ask the Secretary under Title 21, Chapter 13, to initiate that program to get marijuana out of Schedule I? It's obviously not Schedule I.
Well, what's obvious to one is perhaps not obvious to another. I think, as I said, that given the responsibilities that I have.
Well, let me ask you this. The Secretary would make that study to determine it. Why not initiate the opportunity for the Secretary to make the study and base it on science? And until you do that, it's not going to happen.
Well, as I said, within the world in which I have primary responsibility, I think we have acted in a way that is appropriate.
In those areas you have, the Attorney General shall, before initiating proceedings under subsection A, on control to remove a drug or other substance entirely, shall request from the Secretary a scientific and medical evaluation. That's all you have to do is request it. That doesn't take away from your limited resources.
Well, as I said, I'm satisfied with what we have done.
He is so full of shit there. It's amazing how unsatisfactory his answers are. So basically what Steve Cohen is saying is, look, let's cut the shit. The executive branch, so, President Obama and the administration, and the Department of Health and Human Services can change the Schedule I categorization, not Congress. And by the way, you can't get Congress to do anything because we have majority Republican dunces in the House of Representatives, and they'll block anything that makes sense, okay? So it's on you. It's on you to at least, okay, so, you're the Attorney General, so what can you do? Well, you guys can try to commission a study. You can say, okay, let's see what the science says. Or talk to Obama and have him commission a study because he's the head of all the different executive agencies, the federal agencies. And what is Holder's response? Yeah, no, we think that we've done an appropriate job. We've done an effective job at using our limited resources. And he's like, well, this has nothing to fucking do with resources. Okay, so even if you don't want to do a study, you have the ability to just change the Schedule 1 categorization. And the science lines up with changing the Schedule 1 categorization. So why are you not doing it? Well, we'd like to say that since we have limited resources, we're very happy with how we've moved on this issue, and it's one of those things where, no, stop with the bullshit, man. Why are you dodging? Why are you evading? Why are you not answering this question? What's going on here? What's behind the scenes that we're missing? And I can explain to you why that is, because this is all about big business. This is all about big business. This is all about corruption. They bought the administration. So he has his marching orders from Obama. And, of course, President Obama and the Democrats, they're the alcohol companies, the tobacco companies, the pharmaceutical companies. These are all different companies that don't want marijuana to be legalized. They don't want marijuana to be a substance that can be bought even if it's in a medical way, because then that cuts into their profits. They view it as competition, and they want a monopoly on the marketplace. So they want to keep that out of the equation. Doesn't matter that the evidence is overwhelming, that it would help so many people, and that it should be legal for recreational use, and that it'd be such a, it would help the economy in such a fantastic way. That's all put aside, and it's put aside because of corruption. It's put aside because big business has bought the government. And all you see there from Eric Holder, what, you think he doesn't know? You think he doesn't know that, marijuana is not addictive, nobody's ever overdosed from it, it's got all these upsides to it, it can be used in so many different ways medically, it's better than alcohol, so you could even legalize it recreationally. You think he doesn't know these things? No, of course he knows these things. But he's evading because his boss told him, evade because we're not going to do shit on this issue because we need to represent the people who paid us for our campaigns. What we have in the United States of America is a situation where virtually every law on the books and every action taken by Congress or the executive branch or the judicial branch at this point, it's all influenced by something. None of it is about logic or reason or rationality or democracy or the Constitution. It all comes down to who paid me to take a certain position, and let's have all the laws based on politics, based on those things, and not based on the science and not based on the reality. So credit to Steve Cohen for continuing to push there and exposing how Eric Holder makes absolutely no sense on this issue. And it's such a sad thing that a Democratic administration, we voted for these guys to be more open-minded and to move the country in the right direction and stop the nonsense. But here we have a Democratic administration where President Obama and Eric Holder, for whatever reason, maybe they're slightly softer with penalizing medical marijuana, even though they weren't in the first term. They were just as bad as Bush, if not worse than that. Now they got a little bit softer, but see, we're supposed to be happy with that. We're supposed to be happy with a little bit of change in the right direction, and we're not supposed to make too much noise about actually doing what we know is right.